Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. McCauley, the NLRB has tried to downplay these proposed rule changes by saying that very few small entities would be impacted by them. Do you agree with that statement?
No, sir, I do not. I think that each and every one of us, when you yield and you give way to one thing, it becomes a very slippery slope where everything can follow quickly thereafter. It's just a foot in the door to get the ball rolling, and then after that, then you have to deal with the circumstances.
As you stated a little earlier, that the NLRB recently finalized a new rule that will require all employers covered by the National Labor Relations Act to post a notice in their workplace notifying their employees of their rights to unionize. Does the board have the authority to require that these notices be posted?
Not in my opinion, do they? I think they've, just like Ms. Melito has said, they haven't been given that authority to post those things, and you don't have both sides adhered to at that point. You're giving one side full reign and the other side no ability whatsoever to react or have a compensation talk with your employees, because the minute you sense something or you say something, then it's always judged, and then you have issues. I've spent many classes on how to make sure your employees are happy, make sure they're productive, and I think the union, you're always going to have people that work harder because it's their destiny to work harder. They were raised in a certain way that it's important and imperative to them to be a profitable person in the economy. And you have other people that are just going to get by. I have 4 boys. I cannot tell you the difference between each and every one of them, but I know which ones are my slackers and which ones are just going to do it right. So there's that same thing in the economy and in every step we take. And I think if we put everybody in a category that says, you do this job, you're going to earn this wage. You do this job, you're going to earn that wage. I think it takes out the incentive to be the better person, to really strive to be as good as you can be.
And could you explain, for those that may not understand, how this poster rule requirement could impact our country's small businesses?
From my personal standpoint, you're giving them all the information that says you can unionize. Here's all the people you can call if you're not happy. Here's all the things you can do if you'd like to be a union. But it never lets your employer say, hey, listen, let's step back and look at all the things I am doing for you. Maybe I haven't touted that I've been paying 50 or 75% of your total health care bill all along. Maybe I haven't told you that the union's pensions aren't really as strong as they'd like you to believe. But your employer doesn't get that same right. The NLRB would have you believe that they have firm hold on it. They have the ability to tell you how it's going to be, and if you have any recourse whatsoever, they're going to put their thumb to you. And the fact that we're exponentially increasing the time in which it goes to vote, and that there's going to be no secret ballots, you're always going to have weak people in this economy, and you're always going to have the stronger and the more pervasive. The stronger and the more pervasive are going to hold down the weak, and if you don't have a private secret ballot, like when I elect any of my congressmen, I don't want someone standing over my shoulder and judging me for the choices I have made. That is my democratic right here in this nation.
Thank you. And Ms. Melito, as you know, the proposed rule changes coming out of the NLRB seem to be anti-employer. Why do you think this board is particularly activist?
If I could go back to your earlier question, too, I just want to add one thing to Paulie's response, too, and point out, too, that the impact on small businesses are that they are now, as of November 14th, could, in fact, be in jeopardy of having an unfair labor practice filed against them. And I think it's very likely the board itself said that in its final rule, that we fully expect that many businesses will not be in compliance because they won't know about the rule, and therefore, technically they've committed a ULP. So I just wanted to point that out. Why the board has taken this activist approach and really unbusiness, made the businesses out to be the bad guys. I mean, I do think in somewhat, it's payback. Unions are declining, and you right now the private sector, it's 7% or less than that. And it's a way, I guess, to try to, up the rolls, if you will. But I think it's unfortunate because it's coming at the expense of America's, largest employer, small businesses.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.